Nigerian inflation quickened to an almost 3-year high in November as dollar shortages, insecurity in farming areas, and supply bottlenecks stoked food prices. According to the latest report from the National Bureau of Statistics, the consumer price rose to 14.89% from a year earlier compared to 14.23% in October. The food index, which accounts for more than half of the inflation basket, rose 18.3% compared with 17.4% in October, which is the highest rate since January 2018. Costs increased 2% in the month, adding to the challenges of an economy in recession that could push at 6.6 million Nigerians into poverty. According to the World Bank estimates, while the country is still grappling with the adverse effect of economic recession triggered by coronavirus-induced crash in oil prices, creating large financing needs and weakening the naira, making imports more expensive and adding to inflationary pressure. I have live from our Abuja studios to give deep insights into our first topic of discuss as we profile solutions to the current challenges facing the entire economy. It's a global issue. He's going to be giving us his view on this. He is an economist and policy analyst, Professor Ken Ife. Thank you very much for your time, Prof.
Oh, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show. Prof, 14.89%. Let's start that way. From 14.23%. There's a lot in the plate to be served. Inflation is on the high side. Increases from all ends. Prof, how does this come to you first?
Well, it doesn't come to me as a great surprise because this is the time of the year, given all the compounding factors working against us. So I'm not surprised. But I do know that there could be light in the end of the tunnel. But let's look at three things. One is the figure of 14.89 is the composite price index, which is the headline inflation. But hold that up for a moment and then look at where the food sub-index is at 18.3%. But also look at where core inflation is. The core inflation is 11.05. The distance between core inflation is when you exclude food. So the distance between core inflation and the food basket is over 7%. That is very, very wide, a very wide margin. So you can see the composite index sitting in the middle there at 14.8. But also look at urban. Urban sub-index came in at 15.47. Second time it's been just over the composite index. Now, compare that to rural sub-index. The rural is around 14.3. Now, that also tells you a story that, yes, transport is very important cause of this rise because urban area is showing an increase higher than the composite index. So, obviously, the difference there is transport. Moving food from rural to urban area is very key to what is going on. So, on one hand, we see agriculture playing a major role. Now we see transportation running neck to neck with it. The other point about this inflation figure is the regional spread. That is the geopolitical side of it. If you notice that states like Kogi and Zamfara and Bauchi, they are working around 19%, heavily above the average. Whereas Abia and Kwara, I can't understand why Kwara next door to Kogi is at 12%. Why Kogi is at 19%? Again, it should be transport between the two or very bad road and all kinds of things. So it's very, very important that we understand those dimensions as we begin to interpret the figure on inflation.
Prof, let's stay now with food. We are still going to talk on that on so many angles today. Now, looking at food and what's been happening on the Northeast, security issues, what do you think would happen to the price of food stuff? Already is on the high side, and as we move to the Xmas season where everybody would like to stock up, celebrations and all of that, what kind of season are you looking at?
Well, it's going to be more difficult, actually, because the result for the fourth quarter is still going to show an increase in inflation because there could be panic buying and there could be people with seasonal variation and the Christmas season and all of that. So there will be. And transport gets even more difficult in this Yuletide season. So we will still see an increase in the price. But of course, we are still in harvest season, and next quarter will reflect the fact that we are in harvest season. But I think that the pressure on transport and the seasonal variation will still put us a little bit above this particular figure here. So irrespective of the fact that we have harvest. But there will be hope in the second quarter, because the dry season farming we are engaging in now will come in the second quarter of next year. Then secondly, the border closure that is going to end might actually let in some products. Like, I mean, why would onions be 400% increase, tomato over 100%? So we see that the border opening the border might actually tame the sharp rise in the cost of food. So we will have to see.
Prof, you talked about the states, and I'm thinking, how well would you say our states are doing even at this time? You know, many have talked about thinking outside the box so that they can generate more revenue, not depending solely going to Abuja to get federal allocation. Now, how well would you say they're doing, particularly at this time where we're looking inwards and also talking diversification? Are our states really keen into this drive being made by the federal government?
The states have severe challenges, not least because of COVID. They already had ongoing challenges before COVID came in, struggling to pay the new minimum wage and all sorts of hostages to fortune. But what I see happening is that there is a plan, a zero oil plan, that encourages the states to go for one product per state. We need to see traction in that. But it's a sensible way forward, because much of the products that were targeted there are exportables. Of course, in my committee at the national planning stage, we are factoring those products into our bioeconomy. So we are going to put a lot more resources there. But having said that, the states are going to benefit with $750 million of the $1.5 billion approved by World Bank is actually heading in their direction to help them address issues of fiscal transparency, accountability, and prudence, and then also increase their IGR. So there will be some relief heading in their direction from that. Quite apart from the other 750 that is going to help implement the economic sustainability plan. The 2.3 trillion plan. So there should be more help, because that particular plan, the component of that lending is a mixed bag of grants, direct palliatives, and jobs, short-term jobs, and of course value chains like agriculture, strengthening the agri value chain. So they will also be, all of them will be heading down to the state level. So we will be hoping that some of these might be significant relief on the way.
Prof, as good as it might seem, looking at the loan, many are also saying that the IMF and World Bank have come to Nigeria and have spoken to Nigerian government or representatives of Nigerian government, particularly with issues surrounding the exchange rates, issues around electricity tariff, issues around, things that would just, at least liberalize or deregulate or privatize some of these enterprises to make government get more money or make more money and not pay subsidies. I don't know if you also agree that that is the way to go. Some say at times like this, we need to take drastic actions. And this is one of the actions that we are supposed to take, talking about some of this hardship that Nigerians will have to go through one way or the other. It is clear.
No, without a doubt, those recommendations are apt, actually, because we do need to get rid of the subsidies that are being given at the level of consumption. You don't subsidize consumption, for goodness sake. You subsidize production. If you subsidize consumption and that is fuel, is a contradiction, because not only that you are not refining enough fuel for your economy, you are also subsidizing not only subsidizing the transportation to go out somewhere, exporting your jobs, then processing, and then bringing it back. All that are bills and bills piled up, and eventually you allow a margin to the importers of the petroleum product. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, I'd rather go to Niger to buy the fuel than to bring them from imported resources. So it doesn't make sense. And I still don't understand why we should have licenses for 75 modular refineries, and then the state governments that have oil, 9 of them, are just not investing in any of these modular refineries. I can't understand it. Texas in America has over 200 refineries and petrochemicals, and then you have only government-owned refineries, which face significant challenges when it is fighting against importers of petroleum products. But I'm glad that Dangote product will come online very soon, and I think there's some sign that 1 or 2 modular refineries will kick in. But we should have more traction there. That's really where you need to stop these whole shenanigans going on in the oil industry, by getting more private sector actors in the downstream side of our petroleum industry.
All right, Prof, let me ask you this way. Now, how well do you see this confidence coming back to Nigerian environment? The business environment, a lot of issues are happening, recession. Federal government says it's possible we're out of recession in 2021. Some say no, it's a tall order, that might not happen. Let's put this side by side. Do you really see us getting out of recession in first quarter of 2021? Let me ask that way.
No, I think there are very strong possibilities of us getting out of recession in the first quarter of 2021. There are strong possibilities. But you need to understand that getting out of recession could be a combination of the expansionary policy of the government, where you are now seeing a very massive handshake between the fiscal and monetary policy, and you are seeing resources heading not just to the output side of the economy, of the GDP, but also on the consumption side of the GDP, because after all, 84% of the consumption is by household. So you can see significant fiscal, quantitative fiscal intervention heading to the household and the MSME level to ensure that the capacity to buy, in other words, the demand is maintained. Because if you have a collapse in aggregate demand, then you've had it. It doesn't matter what you do on output. You're not an exporting economy. So whatever you do on output of food and raw material and all that, they will not make any effect because the consumption has dropped. People haven't got the resources. So, but then, having said that, you also have to look at the investing community. We are not very lucky with investment. If you look at the exportation, the importation report is a meltdown. Complete meltdown. $17 billion came in 2018. $24 billion came in 2019. In this year, we only had about 5.8 billion in the first quarter. Then COVID struck. The whole thing melted away to 1.4 and 1.4, second and third quarter. So we probably won't touch up to $10 billion this year in capital importation. So that is a very important, significant sign that the portfolio investments are melting away because of the uncertainty and the hard economic times. So you need investment for people to create jobs, and jobs to create disposable income, and disposable income to sustainably reduce poverty. So that is the cycle. And when you don't have that, yeah, you may have recovery. Then people are going to say, what do you have? What actually have you recovered? Is the numbers that came back, but not jobs coming back and not investments coming back. So that's why I'm saying that these are two sides of that equation. But hopefully, I think there may be more better news in the future. If the private sector infrastructure company, which is intended to be capitalized with 15 trillion naira, not dollars, to take over the heat of the infrastructure from federal government, so that federal government can focus on social inclusion and energy, and it's not energy actually, manpower development, education, health, and working with private sector and the state governments on food production and all of that, then the private sector can deal with the infrastructure. So that will give us a lot of headline. It will give us a lot of leeway in the sense that the agility of the private sector, the experience, the speed, and the competence will all add to address these 26 heavy infrastructure projects government is straddled with. and then we can get more relief.
Now, Prof, I think that there needs to be a lot of clarity for Nigerians to understand some of the things government is doing. Yes, very remarkably, you touched on the fiscal and monetary side, which everyone knows that there should be an handshake. We've seen all that the CBN has been doing and all of this. But it's like there should be a transition period for us to start having seen the effects practically of all of this. Now, do you think Nigerians really understand and know that there needs to be a process for us to be self-sufficient, either in food, either in the manufacturing sector, pharmaceuticals, trying to address COVID and all of these things? Do we have this understanding? Because that's what really scares me.
Government is not actually very good in blowing their own trumpets. But
True.
This, besides the security challenges, severe security challenges across the country, which actually has made investment going into the states vaporize away. Apart from that, security has to come first before people can invest their money. They don't bring money abroad to come and die in the country. They bring it because they want to do business. They don't want to bring it and invest it, and then they get blown away. So apart from the severe security challenges, there are actually some good stories to tell about transformations in our economy. Can you imagine how 4 million farmers have accessed finance to do over 4 million hectares, 1 man, 1 hectare, and then didn't have to bring security to borrow the money. And then these are subsistence farmers working in an anchor program, a framework that allows anchors who could be aggregators or manufacturers or processors or exporters, working diligently with thousands of our growers, giving them the correct seed, giving them measured inputs, fertilizer, herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides, and then aggregating their produce without money exchanging hand, and then aggregating this produce and integrating them seamlessly into a national and global supply chain. I mean, that is unbelievable. When I said this in my West Africa seminar to ECOWAS community, they were shocked. They didn't understand that this is possible. So there are some good news there. And look at the transformation that has taken place in 2016 when we entered into recession, and then there was an action taken by CBN to restrict access to Forex for 32 items and all of that, and then poured in money into growing more rice. If we didn't do that in March, April this year, we were even having problem importing even the rice. Nobody wants to sell to you. India couldn't sell active pharmaceutical ingredients to us. About 80% of our manufacturing base here depend on imported raw materials. They couldn't get those because of the disruption in the supply chain. So, it is very fortuitous that we actually had taken the action, that the CBN took the action that it took in 2016, despite all the criticisms. So, nothing is perfect. It's a work in progress. But I think there are some positive things that are happening that people are just not aware of or sufficiently aware of, because we have a government that doesn't want to blow its trumpet because they have too much challenges. They have so many other things to throw back at them if they try to tell you what they have done. So they just let the sleeping dog lie.
Very interestingly there. In 1 minute, Prof, tell us, where do we go from here as we move to 2021? How optimistic are you? Let's end in that note.
Well, I think there's another good news. The shenanigans going on in the power sector, which are the asymmetries that we have seen, and the disgrace when you compare Nigeria, that is 4 times the population of South Africa, but South Africa having 10 times more power than us, a factor of 4. If we have the power that South Africa have per capita, Nigeria would be bigger than the rest of the whole of Africa put together in terms of our economy. But we don't have that. And all you have are stories upon stories. So the good news is that when central bank says, look, I want to make sure we build this power factor sector by extra 7.5 trillion and come and take money. I'm no longer waiting for external money to come. Go and take money here, take solar to the mass market. That is revolutionary. That is revolutionary. Mini grids, all kinds of grids, small, just come. Now, that is very, very revolutionary. So we just have to wait for a year or two, and see how private sector responds to that. That is the game changer that we are going to see in the power sector. 30% of input costs minimum is power. 20% minimum is transportation. These two alone are 50% input. Nigerian businesses cannot compete. But even with these binding constraints, 90 million MSMEs in Africa, 44.5 million of them are from Nigeria. 50%, can you believe? Nigeria is 18% of Africa in population and also in size of economy. But we are punching beyond our weight by having 50% of the MSMEs. It does tell you that entrepreneurship is a major latent competitive advantage for Nigeria. Can you imagine where Nigeria will be if we have the power? Or, triple or quadruple volume of power. Look at the banking sector. Nigeria is all over Africa with our commercial banks. So we are ready but the infrastructure is what is holding the country down. And I think the time is numbered, and we should come out of this.
Professor Kenife, I must thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us on Business Nigeria. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.